What the hell was that? I growled at her as we pulled out of the parking lot. She was drunk, but not drunk enough to stop herself from getting into the bullying behavior that had become her habit. God, what an idiot you are, Marty. Well, I flirted a little. So what? So what? I work with these people. Now I have to listen to my wife being called a woman of easy virtue. Fuck you. I just danced with a few guys. Get used to it. And she let out a beer burp, which made me immediately open the window. It's a pity that her beaux weren't around to see it. Hot, ha. I didn't understand where this disrespect suddenly came from, but I was sick of it. Did you dance? You almost had sex with them on the dance floor. She sat on their laps. Damn, you made out with that bastard Anderson on the porch. You know how much I hate him. I didn't kiss him, he kissed me. More than you've been doing lately. It's like it's my choice. If you treated me better, I wouldn't have to look for attention from other men, she said with a grin. If you weren't such a cold and disrespectful bitch, I might have treated you better, I thought. This was the last corporate party you went to with me if you can't behave like a wife and not like a woman of easy virtue. You humiliated me. Being your wife is humiliating, she replied. Great. We can end this all if you want, Sherry. I'm not going to be married to a woman of easy virtue. Great, she laughed, as if being married to a loser like you is a great blessing. I knew I shouldn't have had this conversation when she was drunk. The next day, she would deny everything. She was angry, cruel, unkempt, and I was already mortally tired of it. I wasn't going to let it go. When we returned home, I didn't pay attention to her. She collapsed on the sofa, and I went to bed. Something had to change. I knew this for sure. When I went to work the next day, she was still lying on the couch. I didn't wake her up. In fact, I tried not to make any noise. I quietly left the house and went to the office, preparing to hear about her crazy behavior. Everything turned out to be even worse than I expected, and I was already expecting the worst. There were photographs of her around the office. I received these photos anonymously and listened to ridicule all day. Not surprisingly, by the time I got home, I was in a lousy mood. When I entered the house, I met not the woman I married 5 years ago, but the vixen she had become over the past few months. Why the hell didn't you wake me up? She snapped. You don't want to be married to me, but you expect me to be your personal wake-up call. What do you mean? I don't want to be married to you. You said you didn't want to be married to me. That being my wife is humiliating, that I'm a loser you don't want to be married to. And this is after you put on a real show at the party. God, what an idiot you are. You always exaggerate everything, right? I had too much to drink, and you threw me on the sofa and left in the morning without waking me up. Honestly, I'm sick of your behavior. You humiliated me last night. That's all I heard at work all day. Nonsense. I drank a little and danced with the guys. So what? I threw the photographs I had printed in front of her. You behaved like a real woman of easy virtue in front of the people I work with. This is what is being discussed in the office today. This is what I dealt with. She looked at the pictures, and I noticed how uncomfortable she felt. Will she apologize? Does he promise to behave better and drink less? Of course not. This is Sherry, my wife. Maybe a year ago she would have done this, but over the past few months, there has been no trace of the loving woman I married. Looks like you're working with a bunch of assholes. And you are one of them, since you did not protect me. She looked at me coldly. I tried to talk to you. I even tried to take you away early, but you didn't want to hear. She said you were having too much fun. And now you want to make a federal case out of this? Grow up, Marty. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't sleep with them. I was just flirting a little, but someone went too far. I went home with you, didn't I? As if it means something. No wonder you didn't sleep with them. You seem to have completely forgotten how to do this. It's been over a month since you let me touch you. Well, I hope this is enough for you, because I definitely won't let you touch me anytime soon. Yes, that was always her decision. If there was a problem, she would stop being intimate with me. I'm already used to this. It's sad, really, if you think about it. It seemed like things were starting to get better, At least it seemed so to me. We went to dinner at a nice restaurant and shared a bottle of wine. She flirted with me, but ended up still going to bed in her usual no sex today pajamas. I tried to hug her, but she pushed my hand away. I'm too full, honey. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow? Yes, that's what I hear all the time, I muttered and turned away. Are you going to sulk now? Yes. Did I hurt your precious feelings? 3 months, Sherry. We didn't have sex for 3 months. Maybe you should go see a doctor. This is not normal. What? Now I'm sick because I don't want to have sex with you. 3 damn months. I got out of bed and put on shorts. I'm not going to be celibate. If nothing changes, I'll have sex one way or another, I told her and left the room to the guest room. Do you want to do this without my consent? That's your answer, right, big man? She shouted after me. I turned around in the doorway, looking at her. Are you kidding? Do you think I want to have sex with a woman who doesn't want me? The sea is full of fish. If you leave this bedroom, you don't have to rush back, she shouted at my back. Once a week, I still tried. I don't know why I did this, but at least once a week, I took a step towards her. She blew me off every time. I continued to sleep in the guest room, using the internet on my iPad. When 6 months had passed, I got dressed and got ready to leave the house. Where are we going? She asked. We're not going anywhere. I've been celibate for 6 months. I'm going somewhere to unwind. I'll be back late. She looked surprised. Do you have a date? No, but I'm going to find myself someone warmer than at home. I was hoping this would be a wake-up call for her. To be honest, except for sex, everything seemed to be getting better between us. The problem was that I still wanted sex. And this, in my opinion, was quite reasonable. Yes, no problem. I can go and sleep with someone too, she snapped. Of course you can. But why? You can have as much sex as you want right here at home. Nobody refuses you. This is me in the eternal cold. And you still wonder why, after your behavior. I'm tired of arguing. 6 months, Sherry. I am 29 years old. I need sex. I don't understand why you don't. For 4 years in a row, we had 2 or 3 times a week. Now nothing. Did someone else show up? Is this the point? Fuck you, Marty. I never cheated on you. Never. You have no right to hint at such things. Fuck you, you say? This is funny. Don't wait for me. I went to Murphy's bar with some guys from work. There were still people in the office that I interacted with, despite my wife's best efforts to humiliate me. I ended up sitting there, drinking beer, complaining about the lack of sex. The guys persuaded me to go to the club. This was not the first time in my life, but it was what I needed. Each of them paid me for a private dance. By the time I left, I was $80 poorer. I went to the restroom, cleaned myself up as best I could, and convinced my buddies that I'd had enough. It was already past 1 in the morning. I was drunk and tired. This is the only way I can explain my crazy behavior. She was waiting for me, wearing an I'm available nightgown. I've almost forgotten what she looks like. She looked me up and down. It's already past 1 in the morning, she said calmly. I didn't think that there was something waiting for me at home, I answered, leaning on the doorframe so as not to fall. She came up to me and took off my jacket. I didn't want it to go this far, love, she said. Let's go to bed. I missed you. I snorted. No longer necessary. She looked at me in obvious shock as I staggered into the guest room. The next day, I miraculously survived the workday and returned home to an icy atmosphere. It was so cold that I could have frostbite on my hands. I hope you're pleased with yourself, right? She asked coldly. What exactly? To the one who cheated on me yesterday. I was waiting for you, dressed up for you, and you rejected me. How does it feel to be rejected? This is exactly what I have been experiencing for the past 6 months, every week. I never cheated on you. Well, of course, you have completely forgotten what sex is. She left the room, and I made myself some dinner. I understood that when she was angry with me, I wouldn't have to eat dinner. 20 minutes later, she came down, dressed in her sluttiest outfit. Don't wait for me. Where are you going? I asked. There. How are you? Have you packed your things? What? She squealed. Have you packed your things? Because if you do something stupid, it's over. I'm tired of your games. She looked at me with hatred and left, slamming the door. I didn't know when she returned, but it was after midnight. I fell asleep on the sofa waiting for her, and when I woke up around 2:30, she was already in bed. Okay, I was suspicious. Even checked her panties. They were as dry as the desert. What a surprise. The next day, she was quieter than usual. I was gardening, and she called me for lunch. She cooked the burgers and placed a bottle of beer in front of me. I sat down at the table, still angry about her behavior. I was seriously considering talking to a lawyer about divorce. She sat down opposite me. It's all gotten out of control, she said quietly. Of course. Don't you love me anymore? She asked. I don't know. I'm not even sure I know you anymore. Please, Marty, let's not quarrel. I don't know how things got this far, but I want to make things right. Come back to our bedroom. For what? It's like we sleep in separate beds. I'm better off in the guest room, and you don't have to worry about me begging you for sex. I propose a truce. No more quarrels. Let's go somewhere today, have a good time, and go to bed together. Will you do this for me? I thought there was nothing left to lose. I'll give this one more chance. If it ends up like our last dinner together again, I'll start the paperwork on Monday. Dinner went surprisingly well. I bought her a rose from a street vendor, and it hung on my hand as we left the restaurant. On the sidewalk, she kissed me. I missed this, she said quietly. Me too, honey. When we got home, she took my hand and led me to our bedroom. She hasn't done this for many years. It looked like she seriously wanted to make things right. I love making love to you, I said. I know, and we will do this much more often, I promise. She kept her promise. Over the next few weeks, she never said no again. We made love every evening. Never, Sherry. I will never get tired of making love with you. I just don't want you to feel like I'm forcing you every day. You are my husband. It won't be violence. By the fourth week, we were still doing this almost every day, including one particularly fun Saturday morning session. I became romantic again, sending her flowers at work, leaving love notes, cooking dinners. Unfortunately, something happened. She returned from work, and I was sitting on the couch. She smiled at me and came over to hug me. I pulled away. Sit down, Sherry. We need to talk. She looked confused, but sat down. What happened, dear? Bad day at work? A very bad day. I took out a photo that I received anonymously by email. She was in the picture. The faces of those she was with were not visible. It was a close-up. Do you want to explain this? She blushed. It happened. But we've already experienced all this, right? Isn't everything better now? Should I just forget you had sex with these guys? She looked at me angrily. You started this. You cheated first. I never cheated on you, I answered. You're lying. You left home alone, returned after midnight, covered in someone else's perfume. Said you don't need sex anymore. Do you think I didn't understand why? He could have at least cleaned himself up after having sex with a woman of easy virtue, whoever she was. I didn't have sex with anyone. Jack, Eric, and I went to the club. I got drunk. 6 damn months without sex. That's it. There was no sex. Eric said something else. She snapped. What the hell, Sherry? When did you talk to Eric? The next morning. You were late for work, and he called to see if you got home. He said that you didn't get anything at home, so he slept with the girl. This is nonsense. All I got was a dance in front of everyone. That's all. Not even half of what you did at the last office party, humiliating me. Why would he lie to me? Don't know. Why didn't you ask me? Jack said the same thing. They both said. When did you talk to Jack? She was silent, and suddenly it dawned on me. Damn it. You did this to them, didn't you? They lied to you, and that was enough. While you didn't let me near you for 6 months, don't yell at me. You left home alone. I went to the damn club for a minute. I only have your word for it, but you definitely acted like you slept with someone. And then he returned home and said that you don't need me, so you decided to do this with the guys I work with. You didn't even think to talk to me. Couldn't you ask me? I shouldn't have asked you. If you hadn't left home alone, we wouldn't be discussing this now, right? Consider yourself lucky that I just did this. At least you had fun, but it didn't bring me anything. So you didn't do anything wrong? Is that how you see it? No, I didn't. It's all your fault. You started this stupid game of trying to make me jealous by saying you were going for sex. I believed you. You shouldn't be surprised. You cheated, and I took revenge. Now we're even. I didn't cheat on you. I already said that. Even if he did, you slept with two different men. The men I see every day. Maybe next time you'll think about it before you decide to cheat on me again. I didn't cheat on you. You're the only one who changed here. I don't believe you. We're even. If you want to pretend you didn't do anything wrong, you can go back to the guest room. No, thank you. I think I'll just move out. I don't need this anymore. I am not going to stay married to a cheating woman of easy virtue. Yes, please. You will pay for this. I will do everything to make sure you pay for this in full, asshole. You started and I finished. If you can't grow up and accept your punishment like a man, then you can move out. I don't need your pathetic whining and excuses. The lawyer told me that I would have to pay her alimony, and even though she made half as much as me and came into our marriage penniless, she would get half of it. I saved money hard before I got married, collecting almost 100,000, including a small inheritance. Most of this money went towards a down payment on our house, which I bought shortly after we got married and took title to because she had bad credit. Legally, it didn't matter. Even though the house was in my name, since the purchase took place after the wedding, she would most likely receive half. The rest of my money was put into investments, which was now mixed with our joint earnings, and she would get half too. The lawyer explained that due to the way the money was spent and invested, it was unlikely that I would be able to prove that these were funds brought into the marriage. She will be rewarded for her behavior, and I will pay child support. Before I do anything drastic, I'll have to do some financial planning. In general, I was completely screwed. Isn't our legal system wonderful? I moved out of the house, listening to her yell at me while I packed my things. She called me a weakling and other hurtful words. I tried to ignore her and moved into a tiny hotel room that was rented out for weeks at a time while I tried to think things through and decide what to do next. She tried to call me a couple of times, but quickly stopped. This didn't surprise me. She never admits her mistakes. All this, in her opinion, was entirely my fault. On the first Saturday I spent alone, I had an unexpected visitor. There was a knock on the door, and I looked out the peephole. My wife's younger sister stood on the threshold. She kissed me on the cheek and entered my room, looking around. "So this is your new wonderful life?" she asked sarcastically. "What do you want, Amy?" She pouted. "Is this how you meet your beloved sister-in-law?" "My only sister-in-law," I reminded her. She laughed cheerfully. "My favorite one, and you know it. Just because my sister is acting like an idiot, don't take it out on me." She was right. She has always been the complete opposite of her sister. Sweet college student, when Sherry and I got married, she has grown into a lovely young woman over the past few years. Okay, my favorite sister-in-law, why did you come? I wanted to hear your version and understand why you left. What can you say? She cheated on me with two bastards from my work. For 6 months, she was a bitch to me and completely ignored me. She behaved like a woman of easy virtue at a corporate party. I can't stand it anymore. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to break this whole thing. I sat down on the bed opposite her while she sat down in the only chair in the room. She says you cheated first. She's lying. I was in a club and got a dance. She had sex with two guys from my work. She cheated, not me. Everything else is a lie. She says you told her you were going out looking for sex, that you left her alone and came back late, said you don't need sex anymore, and then she found a stain in your shorts. Don't you realize that she might have gotten this all wrong? She's lying. I didn't say I was going for sex. I was deliberately vague and said that I was going to look for warm company. She didn't talk to me, didn't ask me about it. She didn't let me near me for 6 months, 6 damn months, and then, as soon as she felt offended, she immediately handed out sex. Amy moved to sit next to me on the bed and put her hand on my knee. She was drunk and upset, Marty. You know what she gets like when she gets drunk. You shouldn't have let her go alone. Your colleagues are mostly to blame. They took advantage of her condition, lied to her, and used her. I don't trust her, Amy. She cheated on me. She treats me badly. She refuses to have sex with me. Why should I worry about her? She's unhappy. She has too much pride to admit it, but you know she feels guilty. She tried to fix everything, didn't she? Over the past few weeks, everyone has heard how things have worked out for you. Can't you forgive this? She pressed herself close to me. Her face was only a few centimeters from mine. I don't think so, Amy. She cheated on me. She is cold to me and loose with the men I work with. She doesn't respect me and blames me for everything, never taking responsibility for her actions. I felt mixed feelings of desire and confusion as she turned around and sat on my lap. She accepted responsibility, Marty. She tried to fix everything. You know that. She's terribly ashamed of what she did. She's just too stubborn to admit it. If you return to her, I'm sure she will make amends. Nonsense. She said I should go back to the guest room. Do you think I should go back to her and live celibate for 6 months again? You don't have to be celibate. This fool cheated on you. You deserve a rematch. Amy was younger, prettier, and kinder than her older sister. I was almost sure that everything was over between me and Sherry. Why not get something good out of it? She pulled away and smiled. What do you say, Marty? You and I are settling the score, and you'll try again with her. If she refuses you again, come to me, and I will make sure that you do not suffer. Do we have a deal? She whispered. And if I refuse, will you leave? I asked. No way. I'm yours for the rest of the day, no matter what you decide. Sherry is an idiot. You are a wonderful guy and deserve better. If you fail, this will be the only time. But if you give her a chance and she hurts you again, know that I will always be there. Why, Amy? She smiled. Why not? I liked you from the first time Sherry brought you home. You are beautiful, successful, caring. According to my idiot sister, you are also the best lover she has ever had. I'm interested to know if this is true. Sex with her was amazing. We went out to dinner, and then she came back to my room and stayed the night. I felt young again, full of strength and energy. I married the wrong sister, I groaned. She laughed. Yes, you married someone who doesn't understand what she has, she said, laughing. Try to fix everything, dear. But if it doesn't work out, remember me. We showered together, and there was none of the awkwardness I expected. She pulled me into a hug goodbye. I had a great time, she said. Me too. But why are you doing this for your sister? She shrugged. She's stupid, but she's still my sister. I know she loves you. She's just a fool when it comes to showing it. She always needs to be in charge, to control everything. She hates being ordered around. If she could get over this, I think things might work out for you. You understand that, most likely, nothing will work out between me and Sherry. I know, but at least you can say you did everything you could. Me too. I kissed her one last time and gathered my things. Sherry acted as if I didn't exist. No explanation, nothing. She cooked dinner and talked about her week. When it was time to go to bed, she surprised me by wearing her fun nightwear and leaving the bedroom door open. We made love, and although it was in between, it still felt surprisingly intimate. Afterwards, I held her in my arms. Don't leave me, she whispered quietly, barely audible. I didn't answer, I just hugged her tighter. I didn't want to promise anything. Who knows how long this calm will last, or when that other, irritable Sherry will return again, or when the next surprise will overtake me. Sherry surprised me. She acted like she did at the beginning of our marriage. We started making love regularly again, and it was even better than ever before. The thought of divorce faded into the background. However, I still remained wary. I started saving money for a rainy day, gradually withdrawing half of our savings. I also took out a loan for the house since it was registered in my name. I wasn't going to be in a vulnerable position if things went wrong again. I saw Amy quite often since she was part of our family and lived nearby, but nothing else happened between us. We talked several times, and during the last conversation, she asked how Cherie and I were doing. Better than ever, I admitted. She smiled. Aren't you glad that I persuaded you? Persuaded. I mimicked her. That's also part of the deal, she laughed cheerfully. You're probably no longer celibate. Not even close. She pouted, as if pretending to be upset. I know I should be happy, but I'm still waiting for her to return to her previous behavior. I wouldn't mind a rematch. Me too, but it won't happen. Now we're even. If she doesn't mess up again, I'm not going to screw it up myself. Fine. I don't regret anything. And you? She asked. Not for a second. You were amazing. She stood up and kissed me on the cheek. You too, Marty. Cherie is lucky. Cherie continued to amaze me. She tried, and I was ready to make an effort too. She brought elements of role-playing games into our relationship. A week later, she went even further. She really liked it. She smiled. Well, how do you like it? I liked it. I love that things have gotten so much better for us. Me too, darling. It was incredible. Everything was better than I could have expected. The following week, on Saturday night, she insisted on going out to dinner. After that, she led me to our bedroom. She had soft ropes in her hands. My turn, she asked. I decided she deserved it. She laughed. I'll be back in a minute. I want to give you some time to think about all this. You shouldn't have had sex with my sister. She returned to the room, leading Mark Anderson. I was shocked and furious. She knew how much I hated Mark, that vile bastard I worked with. He was a sneaky suck-up and always tried to screw me over at work. He was one of the most arrogant after the corporate party, when she behaved like a woman of easy virtue. Besides, he was one of those scoundrels who kissed her. They had sex. This was too much. I couldn't stand it anymore. I was going to kill that bastard if it was the last thing I did in my life. I was going to ruin Cherie too. I didn't care what it took, but she would leave this marriage poor and broken. I ignored what they were doing, planning my revenge. He got dressed, and she put on a robe. I was still thinking about how I was going to figure this out when the bastard pulled out his phone and took a picture of me. He didn't know that he had essentially signed his own death warrant. They disappeared, and she returned to the room 5 minutes later, still screaming. I hate you for making me do this, she snapped, untying the ropes at my feet. I didn't answer. I hope you understand the lesson. If you cheat on me, I will pay you back twice as much. Understood. She grinned wickedly, untying one of my hands. She walked around the bed and was untying my other hand when I abruptly pushed her away. Don't touch me again, you damn woman of easy virtue. I screamed, freeing myself completely. I am not a woman of easy virtue. It's you and my sister. And if you push me again, I will put you in jail, she shouted back, getting up from the floor, screaming and continuing her hysterics. She wasn't even worth wasting your voice on. It was all over between us. A divorce awaits her, and I will punish that bastard Anderson so much that he will regret his existence. I didn't say another word to her. I moved my things into the guest room, ignoring her screams, and locked the door. I couldn't sleep for a long time. There's not much that can be done on a Sunday, but I started with the Adams. I emptied our savings and checking accounts, one transaction at a time, until I had nearly $6,000 in cash, withdrawing money from different places. I went to work, despite the day off, and prepared myself for the upcoming confrontation with the bastard on Monday. I knew it would be inevitable. I searched his desk, but found mostly unnecessary papers, although I managed to find out his address. I had never been to his house and had no intention of going there, but now I knew where he lived. This could come in handy. Jack and Eric didn't need that kind of preparation. I considered them friends. I visited their homes, met their wives and children. We played poker. We watched football matches together. I was angry at them, but revenge on them was still secondary to Mr. Bastard Anderson. My cell phone rang several times until I turned it off. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I collected all the necessary phone numbers and found out what time the institutions I needed opened in order to resolve the remaining matters on Monday. Made a list. Checked it twice. I ate in restaurants because I didn't want to go home. I wasn't going to spend money on hotels. I'll stay in my house, and if this bitch wants to leave, please. I bought earplugs to help me sleep better and a hotel room lock for added security. She definitely won't sneak into the guest room while I'm sleeping. Who knows what else this crazy bitch might do. When it got dark, I drove to the bastard's house. I wanted to see where he lived and explore the surrounding area. It was a duplex with a garage in a gated community. This made things a little more difficult, but nothing I couldn't handle. I returned home around 11 in the evening. My future ex-wife was awake. "Are you still sulking?" she shouted. As you would expect, I entered the house, ignoring her, and headed to the guest room. "I didn't want to do this," she said, following me down the hallway. "You forced me. How could you sleep with my sister? What's wrong with you?" I almost pinched her hand in the door, slamming it in her face. He opened the door only to insert a new lock and slammed it again, although she continued to scream from the other side. After installing the lock, I felt safe. I turned on the TV at full volume, put in earplugs, and went to bed. I slept much better, and by 6 in the morning, I was already out of the house. I went straight to the office and waited in the HR office until someone arrived at 7:50. To say that Diana was surprised when I brought up sexual harassment would be an understatement. To her credit, she listened intently as I described my hostile work environment. I showed her the photos sent to my work email and told her about the events with my wife that happened at the office party. I gave her a copy of these photographs, adding dates, times, and names. I explained in detail the comments Mark Anderson made at work and his involvement in what happened to my wife. I placed my 3-page written statement in front of her with attached evidence, including photographs. "You have to understand, Martin, that this is not a classic case of sexual harassment," she said. "We have no supporting evidence. Most of this seemed to happen outside of work. I can start an investigation. I'm sorry you had to deal with this, but it seems more like a personal issue. My lawyer thinks differently. If I don't see immediate action, and I mean now, you will have to talk to him, not me. He assures me that we have a win-win situation." Of course, this was a slight exaggeration, but I wanted to get the case moving and was not going to wait for a consultation with a lawyer. She blushed at the mention of the lawyer. "I take my job very seriously. If something is really happening, I guarantee you that it will stop. Regardless of whether it qualifies as harassment or not, such behavior is unprofessional and unacceptable." "I believe you, Diana. That's why I came to you now to talk. I have no doubt that this will continue unless someone puts a stop to it. I was patient, hoping that these idiots would stop, but the situation only got worse. All this needs to stop, and I expect significant action will be taken against all involved." I closed my case. "I am taking the morning at my own expense to resolve personal issues caused by these events. I have already sent an email to my boss. I'll be back after lunch, and I'd like to talk then about the actions taken." "I can't handle everything in a few hours," she said. "I'm not asking you to solve everything by then, but I want to know what steps are being taken before I act through a lawyer." "Threatening me won't help," she said, and I could see she was starting to get nervous. "I'm not threatening you. I have filed a complaint about behavior that occurs frequently and is widespread and of which the company should be aware. I am simply notifying you of my intentions and options. I hope you deal with this quickly and properly. Everything else is up to you." She was clearly unhappy when I left her office, but that didn't bother me. I returned to my office, closed the door, and continued to do my business. By that time, I had already withdrawn my investment and transferred the money to an account that I used only for online transactions. I used PayPal for many years, but never trusted it to access my main bank accounts, so I always kept a couple $100s in a separate bank and had a Visa debit card that I used for all online purchases. The account was in my name only, and I was the only cardholder. Between the money I had withdrawn from the shared house and what I already had, my three personal accounts now had just under $180,000. There was about $20,000 in equity left in the house and less than $2,000 in our joint accounts. I figured that even if she hired a smart lawyer to track down my hidden money, I had a good chance of keeping at least some of it secret. I made an appointment with a divorce lawyer to discuss what it would take to get out of this situation. The best option was for Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. I attended this meeting. At approximately 11:30 in the morning, the expected gift overtook me. I saw a letter sent to half the floor with a photo of me tied to a bed. I printed it out and returned it to Diana in the HR department. She looked up at me when I entered without knocking. "It's just funny. I barely had time to start reviewing your case," she said. "What did you promise me this morning? It will stop now, won't it? I just received this." I put the photo on her desk. "Mark Anderson sent this picture to half the office. View the sending time and the list of recipients. I have already sent you a copy." She glanced at the printout, then checked her email. "There is no evidence here that it was Mr. Anderson who sent this message. Have the IT department check his internet access. I'm sure you'll find that this picture was sent from his computer. I saw him come to the office. He's here. He is the only one who could have this photo. I warned you this morning that something like this would happen. You should have talked to him first thing in the morning. Now you are responsible for this too. Are you going to call it now, or should I go see my lawyer?" While I was standing in front of her, she called the head of the IT department. She explained the situation and demanded an immediate check of Anderson's computer and report. When we were alone again, she flashed her eyes at me. "I don't like being pushed. I'm doing my job. There was no way to know he would do such a thing if it was him. Besides what I told you this morning, who will do it and what to expect. I wrote everything down for you, names and dates. I'm leaving for lunch. We'll talk after it." "Constant checks won't speed things up," she said. "I don't intrude every hour. I talk to you until 8 in the morning. At 11:45, he brought new evidence. Now I'm leaving so as not to escalate the situation. When I return, and if I hear even a word about that letter, I will begin to act." I left her office and called the CO's secretary. "I need to see Dr. Cantrell this afternoon. This is extremely important." "He's very busy. I'm not sure if today is the right day," she replied. "This relates to a sexual harassment case that was registered with HR, but is ongoing. I'm trying to avoid involving lawyers. I hope he can find time for me." "Wait," she asked. I listened to stupid music on the phone for a couple of minutes. "Your meeting is scheduled for 3:45. Don't be late. He has a meeting at 4 o'clock." "I will." During the long lunch, I started closing my credit cards. When I finished, they were all paid off except the one in her name, leaving less than $1,000 in our joint accounts. There wasn't much that could be done about the house except to make it so unpleasant and expensive that she couldn't stay there. I had an idea about this. I monitored calls on my cell phone, ignoring most, answering only those that concerned clients. Sent unknown numbers to voicemail. I was a little surprised that Sherry never called. I was quite pleased to receive a call from Mark Anderson yelling at me for raising this issue and dragging management into it. He asked if I liked the picture and said that he liked having sex with my wife and that he would do it more often since I couldn't handle it. He also said that I deserved everything I got and that I would pay for getting involved with him. These kinds of hot-tempered bastards are simply priceless. I forwarded this message to Diana in HR. It was pure luck that Bastard Anderson was leaving the building when I returned. He was sent home for today's incident, although I did not yet know all the details, but I already felt better. We crossed paths just a few steps from the front door. "You little bastard," Anderson growled contemptuously. "Your ass is screwed, and I'm the one who's going to cut your hair." I laughed at his pathetic cliché. "Have a nice day, Mr. 2 minutes to go. And by the way, I advise you to get it checked. I hope you enjoy spending a lot of free time." He tried to hit me. I expected this, and instead of dodging, I took the blow so that it would be visible on the security cameras. Damn it, you fight like a girl, I laughed. The second time he tried to hit me, I finally let out all my rage. I walked past half a dozen witnesses, went to the reception and said, "You need to call Diana from HR and security to request the footage from the cameras at the entrance." This was the first of many showdowns that awaited Mr. Anderson, I decided, and it was damn fun. Not 5 minutes had passed before I found myself at my desk when I was called upstairs. "Mr. Zod, Dr. Cantrell wants to see you as soon as it is convenient for you." Which meant immediately. 5 minutes later, I was sitting opposite the CEO. No greeting, no formalities. He examined me carefully. "I assume this mark on your face is from a collision with Mr. Anderson." "Yes, sir. He attacked me at the entrance to the office." "I have a video recording. It looks like he did strike first, but you said something before that. I would like to know what was discussed." He insulted and threatened me. As I had been doing for months, this is exactly what I reported to HR. I told him I hope he enjoys his day off. He probably also said something like he hits like a girl after the first hit. "I don't like what's happening in your department. I don't like the way this was handled on either side, but I understand your concerns. Our attorney believes that you do not have a classic sexual harassment case, but it is clear that the department has an unprofessional work environment, and I can assure you that this will be corrected." "Thank you, sir. I must admit, I was given the same promises this morning. So far, it hasn't helped much." He leaned back in his chair, having made his speech, and looked at me silently. I knew this tactic and waited too. I was in no hurry. "What do you want, Martin?" Calling by name. This was a good sign. "I want the insults, threats, and attacks to stop. I want the perpetrators to understand that their behavior is unacceptable, and I do not want to encounter it at work or at home. I expect Mr. Anderson to be dealt with. I don't want to see him every day, and I don't expect his behavior to be rewarded." He nodded. "This is a reasonable request. So, if your problems are solved, will this all end?" "Certainly. All I want is to work in a safe and comfortable environment, not an extremely hostile one. I love my job and have enjoyed working here for several years. It's only been in the last 8 months that everything has gone wrong. In the future, if something like this happens, please report it immediately so we can nip it in the bud." "Yes, sir." He stood up and approached me. I stood up too, and we shook hands. "This business is my baby. This is my life. I won't tolerate a tumor developing in him. I don't know how the situation got to this point, but I will deal with it and cut out the disease. I would like you to take the rest of the week off, with pay of course, and this will not be considered a vacation. I think you have personal issues that need to be sorted out at home. When you return on Monday, we will have lunch, and I will tell you what measures have been taken. Will this suit you?" Longest damn handshake of my life, but it was worth it. I was confident that my plan to get revenge on the bastard Anderson would begin to come true. The CEO knew my name, and on Monday we would have lunch together. It was a good start. Maybe I should have just gotten a divorce and moved on, but as they say, hindsight makes all the difference. Instead, I headed to Amy's house and waited for her to return from work. While I was sitting in the car in front of her house, I checked the messages and was surprised that there were so few of them relating to the most pressing problem in my life. Sherry called. I was going to delete her message without listening, but it was very short. "We need to talk, bastard. Tonight, or all your things will go away." 2 messages were from Amy, also asking to talk. Sherry asked her if she cheated with me, and Amy denied everything. Amy claimed that she did not know how her sister found out about this. I wasn't sure I believed her. Coincidence or not, we were planning to talk as soon as she got home. Another call was from Anderson. He sounded calmer now. He insisted that both of us not do anything stupid. He said that everything could be finished. He didn't want to see what would happen if I didn't back down. Heck, if he hadn't added that last phrase, I might have ignored it. I forwarded his message to Diana. There was another call from Eric. He apologized and wanted to talk. He explained that what happened to my wife was a mistake that he did not plan. He also apologized for sending the photo. He was drunk when he sent it from his phone, and now he regrets it. I saved his confession. Checking the call log, I saw 2 calls from Jack. He turned out to be smarter. He did not leave any incriminating messages. Another call was from my boss, who said that he knew about my paid leave. He insisted that he knew nothing about the problems and would now work on solving them. Pure lie. It was in the copy of every letter. He knew everything perfectly well. But now I am not going to focus on this. Another message was from a credit card company that wanted to know why I had closed my account. They suggested lowering the interest rate and increasing the credit limit. I called them, accepted the offer of a new card in my name only, and asked them to send it to my work address. For the first time, a sales call was useful to me. By the time I finished sorting through the messages, Amy returned home around 5:30 p.m. She was clearly surprised to see me, but invited me in. "Did you tell her about us?" I asked as we drank the beer she offered. "No way, not a word. I haven't spoken to her since she accused me. Can you imagine what this fool did?" Amy nodded with obvious guilt. "She's an idiot. I take it, it's all over now." "Yes, but the final point has not yet been set." "How did she know?" "I didn't tell anyone but you about us." "Who did you tell?" Amy blushed. "Only 2 people, but I can't believe either of them would say anything to her." "But they might have told someone else, who in turn might have spilled the beans, and so on until it got to Sherry. She only needed to hear one wrong word to lose her temper. We both know that." "Sorry, Marty. I didn't want this. You know that. I was hoping you could work things out." She took a sip of beer. "Did she really do that on the same bed where you were tied up?" I felt the blood rush to my face. Twice. With my most hated enemy from work. Crap. This is disgusting. No joke. I deal with it at work. I'm meeting with a divorce lawyer on Wednesday. What infuriates me most is the thought that I will have to give this cheater even a penny. "Well, you cheated on her too," Amy pointed out. "What? How can you say that? Was this whole revenge thing your idea, Amy, or have you forgotten? And then this horror and humiliation, and you take her side?" "I'm not saying I'm taking her side. She really screwed up big time. We both know what she's like. She always needs to take revenge, and do it with interest. You understand that I am going to destroy her, right? I will make her life hell. All these photographs will be scattered throughout the city, and also pictures where she behaves like a woman of easy virtue at a party. She's gone too far. If necessary, I will quit and move to another country before I give her a penny. I'll burn our house down along with her if I have to. She's going to pay, Amy, and it's going to be really bad. Very terrible." Amy was clearly upset. "Don't do this, Marty. You can't. It will destroy you too. You are not that kind of person. You have to understand that she already regrets what she did. She will be unhappy when you get divorced. Isn't that enough? Are you serious? Not enough? She slept with my worst enemy. Nothing will be enough. She'll get off easy if I don't send her to the hospital after I ruin her life. Or to the grave." Amy shook her head again and again. "No, no, I can't let you do this. This is too much. She's my sister, Marty. It's one thing that we slept together. You have to understand how much it hurt her." Of course, she was furious. "Damn you, Amy. Sex was your idea. Should I forgive her for all the crap she did?" "Not entirely forgiven, but what you have in mind is too much. You had many good years together. Let everything end peacefully, otherwise you both will be unhappy for the rest of your lives. It's not worth it." I couldn't believe it. "No way. Sorry. This is too much. She humiliated me and made me a laughingstock at work. At least you and I were careful. She deserved her due." Amy finished her beer. "What if we make you win back? Will this be enough?" "What do you mean? Got even?" We will do the same thing she did, you and me, right in front of her eyes. Then you'll be even, and you'll agree to a quiet, fair divorce, and maybe one day you'll even be able to be civil to each other. I don't think this will work, Amy. First of all, she will never let me hold her. Besides, you know that she will definitely try to take revenge again, and things will get even worse. I think I have a way. Give me the weekend. I'll try to get her into a position where she'll do what we need by Saturday. Do you at least agree to this? Let me get on with it, and if this works out, no more payback, no more revenge. You both just leave this behind. Agreed? I don't know, Amy. I doubt it will work. She moved closer to me. I'll make a better offer. You and me, baby. I'm yours, no strings attached, until the divorce is over. As long as everything is done in a gentlemanly manner, I will not refuse you anything. How do you like it? I grinned. Sounds damn tempting, but I doubt you can do it. Let me try, okay? Even if it doesn't work out, I will personally compensate you for this weekend. This will be my apology for my part in this story. I promise the apology will be very nice. We sealed the agreement with a kiss, and I went home to face the fury of the vixen. I barely had time to enter the house when my loving wife immediately exceeded all my expectations. Finally, this idiot has shown up. Are you going to talk like a civilized person, or should I throw away all your stuff? I gave her an angry look. I wanted to wait until the weekend to see what Amy was up to, but I wasn't going to put up with that bitch's antics. No way. It's fair to say that if you throw my things out of my own house, I will wait until you fall asleep and burn everything to hell with you. So think carefully about what you are going to do and how much you are willing to pay for it. Her mouth fell open, and she was truly speechless, probably for the first time in a year. She started up again a moment later. If you do this, I will go to the police and say it was you. They'll lock you up and throw away the key. No, you won't go. Someone else might have gone, but if you push me, you won't be able to say anything to anyone. Understand? I hate you, and if you give me the slightest reason, I will do something. I leaned back and smiled. You can call your last lover in the hospital. He'll tell you what I'm capable of. I saw that it hurt her. What did you do to Mark? Has anyone seen you? Will the police look into it? I taught that idiot the first of many lessons. Your other two lovers will be next. You destroyed all their lives, and at the same time ours. You destroyed 3 marriages. I hope you're happy. You're such a cheater. I didn't want to do all this. You forced me. You know it's true, she screamed. This is how it will be, Sherry. I'm not going to argue with you or listen to you justify your actions. You leave me alone for a week. 1 week. I need to understand what you've done. I will hold off on serving the divorce papers until then. This weekend, if I can look at you without wanting to strangle you, we can talk. But you must leave me alone until then. I won't let you make your own rules for me. It's all your fault, she retorted angrily. I don't care who you think is to blame. I need this time. If you don't agree, I'll pack my things, and you'll be given the documents in a couple of days, and then our lawyers will sort it out. If you divorce me, I will make your life miserable, she said with rage. Worse than she already is. I laughed and then calmed down. Why would you even stay married, Sherry? You can't be happy. I know that you don't love me. You couldn't love me and do what you did. Why don't we just end this? I thought we were happy until I found out you slept with my sister. Why did you do this? What the hell is wrong with you? It was the only way left for me. You cheated on me and humiliated me with 2 men I work with. I hear about this every day at work. I didn't do anything except give me a lap dance, and you decided to become a full-fledged cheater. I left. I was ready to leave completely. I have already seen the lawyer. Amy bribed me to give us another chance for revenge. And not for the whole weekend, by the way. That was your lie, too. We spent 1 night together. It was a mistake. I should have divorced you then. You weren't worth a second chance. That's all I have to say about this. If you insist on arguing like I said, I will pack my things and leave. I don't believe they only gave you a private dance. I got up and went into the garage, getting out the biggest suitcases we had while she continued to curse from the door into the kitchen. You are such a fucking liar and a coward. You run again because you can't come to terms with the fact that everything should be fair. I don't need you. She blocked my way back into the house, but I walked past her, carrying a suitcase in each hand. You better shut up. Every word you say digs your grave deeper. What will you do, cool guy? Will you hit a woman? I'll put you behind bars in no time. Actually, I'm thinking about sending out photos of you acting like a prostitute at a party to your parents, friends, colleagues, neighbors, and everyone you know. I probably shouldn't have warned her about this, but this bitch just wouldn't leave me alone. She silently followed me into the bedroom, where I began to pack my things. I will send your photo of you tied up to everyone, she threatened. I laughed. It's too late. Your lover has already done this. I think I'll send out this photo too, with an explanation showing how vindictive you are. The door hit the wall, and I looked in that direction. She leaned heavily on it. I didn't want him to do it. I swear I didn't mean to. Everything should have remained just between us. Shut up, Sherry, and let me finish packing, okay? I started packing my second suitcase. She approached the bed. Listen, Marty, we're even. Let's stop this. Perhaps I went too far a little, but everything has already happened. I can't change it. Stop with this stupid packing, and we can get back to what we had. I put another stack of shirts in my suitcase. No. Sherry was who she is. I should have realized it would end up something like this. Too stubborn, too vindictive, too adamant. Either according to her, or not at all. It was starting to look very tempting. It's a pity that all this concerned Amy, but there are plenty of other fish in the sea. I haven't turned 30 yet. She grabbed an armful of my things from the closed suitcase and threw them into the dresser drawer. You said 1 week. You promised us a week. If you leave me alone, I said. I don't consider yelling and screaming and blaming everything on me as leaving me alone, don't you think? I went back to the box, pulled it out of the dresser, emptied the contents into the suitcase, and then threw the empty box across the room, where it shattered, leaving a dent in the drywall. She stepped back in fear. I was not prone to violence, not under normal circumstances, but now my anger was off the charts. Anderson had gotten her first load, and she was on the verge of getting the next one. 1 week, Marty. We'll talk over the weekend. I won't bother you. I looked at her closely, weighing my options. Just walk away and forget about everything or stay until the weekend to find out what Amy is up to. In any case, everything was coming to an end. At least if I stay, I'll save some money and buy myself time to find a new place to live. If, of course, you can avoid the desire to strangle her. I stood and looked at her, trying to understand what was on her mind. Did she seriously believe that we could stay together after everything she had done? Will you leave me alone? She nodded. We can talk about simple things like food or chores that need to be done. I'll move into the guest bedroom, I told her. I wouldn't want you to do that, she replied softly. I was surprised by her tone. I felt anxious. What if she was up to something? I don't trust you, Sherry. I can never be vulnerable around you again. I won't be able to sleep if you're around because I'm afraid I'll wake up tied up again. I will never be able to trust you for my safety again. Not after what you did. I knew it was true even as I spoke. I couldn't trust her. I started packing my things again. Forget it. It's a stupid idea. She sat down on the bed and closed the lid of her suitcase. 1 week, Marty. I won't bother you. I won't do anything, I swear. I'll help you move your things into the guest bedroom. You promised 1 week. Why? I asked. She actually looked surprised. Because I love you, fool. And I know that you love me. Perhaps we both made mistakes. This shouldn't ruin everything. Damn it, she was just a prisoner of her illusions. How could she say she loved me while having sex with my worst enemy in front of me? I'll leave the bag packed. I don't know if I can stand it. I'll try to give you a week, but you have to leave me alone. I can't stand it anymore. She nodded. I'll leave it. I promise. Would you like me to help you move your things? No, to be honest, I don't want you in the guest bedroom. Not for the next 7 days. Maybe I'll cook us dinner, she suggested. I was hungry. I could survive dinner. I was not sure that I could sit calmly at the same table with her. Okay. Anything special? Or do you prefer a surprise? No surprises, please. The last one was more than enough. Something simple. I was amazed that she didn't go into attack mode. How about meatloaf? We have beef. Will do. I survived. Over the next few days, I got up and got dressed as if I was going to work. She tried to stay away, mostly leaving me alone, preparing breakfast and dinner. We were like strangers living in the same house, which suited me just fine. I spent a lot of time in the library. There were free computers, and I started updating my resume in preparation for looking for a new job. I checked job sites, created an online resume, and contacted references. Even if I got my way, I didn't want to stay in this job with all these assholes. I didn't limit my search to local jobs. A change of scenery might do me good. I started looking at apartments. They turned out to be much more expensive than I expected. In the end, it was humiliating, but I began to look for options with shared accommodation. I found one that was suitable, a basement apartment for an elderly couple, a little closer to the city center than our house. I didn't make a final agreement, but I said I was very interested and gave them $100 as an advance for the week. They were only asking $450, so I basically bought myself 7 days. By midweek, Sherry and I were barely talking, just to manage around the house. I avoided her, and she mostly avoided me. I talked to Amy and told her I would stay at the house until the weekend. She said she is still working on her plan. I met with a lawyer and started filling out the paperwork. It cost me another $2,000 from my savings, but I didn't care. I told him to do a 50-50 split, and if she wants to keep the house, go ahead, but I'm not going to pay for it. I hope she doesn't go too deep into the house case. The payments were actually lower because I changed the mortgage term from 15 to 30 years when I took out a secured loan, and even lowered the interest rate by as much as 2%. Her car cost $200 more than mine, but I told the lawyer that was a small thing. I just wanted to get this over with. When we finished everything, he said that he could give her the documents at work on Monday. Sherry was the quietest ever. I could see that she was worried, and she had every reason to be. Somehow, she found out that Anderson spent several days in the hospital. I think that's what surprised her the most. My finances were sorted. She could keep the house if she wanted, but I wasn't going to pay for it. She would probably have to find a roommate to make the payments, with her part-time job. Perhaps Mark, her lover, they are worth each other. Since we had been married less than 10 years and had no children, according to Texas law, this meant that she would receive nothing. No alimony, no child support. Nothing. 50% of what we have, that's all. And it wasn't that much. I hope she enjoys being poor. By Friday, I had come to terms with the end of my marriage. I felt calm. I had a good job and was young enough to start from scratch. I had some money to start with. I knew I would be happier than I had been in the last few years. I could hardly remember why I married her in the first place. According to Amy's plan, I was supposed to leave home on Friday. She was going to bury the hatchet with her sister. I was strictly forbidden to return home until midnight, the later the better. So I made a few calls. I found a couple of women I dated before Sherry and was glad to find out that Debbie, my last serious girlfriend before I got married, was single. We agreed to meet on Friday, and she seemed happy about it. My life was starting to get better. I didn't tell Sherry what I would do. I only said that I was leaving, but did not dress up. I picked up Debbie at the address she gave, and she greeted me with a hug and a kiss. At dinner, it seemed as if we had never been apart. I found out that she had not been married for long. According to her, the marriage ended when he cheated on her for the third time. After my recent experience, I thought that maybe there could be two sides to this story, but I didn't say anything out loud other than that I was sorry. She asked me about my life, and at first I tried to avoid the topic. Debbie knew me too well and was a great listener. She managed to extract all the details from me, or almost all. I may have embellished myself a little when it came to my adventures with Amy. When I got to the part where I was tied up, Debbie looked stunned. But strangely enough, she still thinks we can survive this, I replied. How could she think you tolerate this? She's just a prisoner of her illusions. It's all in her head. She still thinks that everything is my fault. She doesn't see anything as her fault. Allegedly, I forced her to do everything she did. So where do you live now? We are still together. I haven't served her with divorce papers yet. I'm just preparing for this, I explained. Is that all? Will you just leave? I felt myself starting to blush. I might still have something up my sleeve. I was going to take revenge on her, but her sister is trying to convince me to relent. The sister you had an affair with? Are you sure she's on your side? Blood is thicker than water. I know, and she's been part of the problem all along. But she convinced me to spare my ex in exchange for help. Actually, it was her idea, I said. Her idea to do what? She looked curious and grinned. Do what she did to me. Debbie's eyes widened in surprise, and she laughed. You're kidding. It's priceless. Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. Hey, what's my role in this? I laughed. Your role? I will soon be single. Once upon a time, you and I had something good. I'd like to see if there's anything left of it. She smiled. You act a little fast, don't you think? I wasn't going to rush it, but it seems like the conversation has led to this. I'm not trying to rush anywhere. She leaned across the table and put her hand on mine. We really had something good, didn't we? Why did we break up? You met the love of your life, remember? She blushed, and I almost felt bad for teasing her. I always respected the way you handled it, Debbie. We didn't make any promises to each other, and you ended our relationship when things got serious with someone else. It hurt, but you were honest, and it took me a while to appreciate that. Yes, I was a fool. All this lasted 3 months. I left the best guy I've ever been with for a song and dance. You quickly found comfort. When I came to you again, you were already with the terrible. With the horrible? I asked again. She scared me terribly. When I showed up at your house, she told me to get out and threatened to rip my hair out one strand at a time if I didn't leave you alone. I think she was serious. Yes, this is my wife, I laughed. She was still holding my hand, and I liked the feeling. So handsome, do you want to come back to my house and see if the spark is still there between us? It was unexpected. That's so fast. I would love to, but I'm afraid we'll have to reschedule it. I'm expecting a call from my sister-in-law this evening. Debbie was smart, very smart. Oh my God, you're going to take revenge tonight, right? That's why you're not at home and waiting for a call. No comments. Oh, come on, Marty. You can tell me. We are not strangers. I won't tell anyone. Her pleading look was murderous. Okay, maybe that's why I'm out of the house while Amy does her part to tie up my soon-to-be ex-wife for my revenge. And this Amy, will she be the one to do the dirty deed? She asked. Dirty business, I almost laughed. You know what I mean. Will she be with you in front of your wife? Damn, I'd love to see that. This gave me an idea, and I smiled. What about more than just seeing? Her wide smile became a mirror of mine. This bitch stole my boyfriend. I'll be happy to help. I'll drive you crazy and something else if you give me even the slightest chance. We won't have any problems finding the spark. She didn't steal me. I was free. It was you who abandoned me, I reminded her. Enough for me. I just wanted to talk to you, see how you are. And this bitch threatened me. She grabbed her purse and stood up. We paid for everything, right? Yes. I thought maybe we could go dance. It's still early. And I think we need to come back to me. I'll get you ready for the main show. To tease you, driving you crazy, so that when the moment comes for your revenge, you will be in full combat readiness. What do you say? I think we're wasting time. There was definitely a spark. The phone rang. "Come home, Marty. Today I will give you a small sample, but only a sample. We'll leave the main course for later. I'll be there in half an hour. You're the best, Amy." I heard her chuckle. "You should know this. See you. See you. Bye. Tomorrow morning. Call me before you start so I can get ready. Another call when you're ready for me. It will be done." Less than an hour later, I was checking on Sherry. "What did you give her?" "Lots of booze and a couple of sleeping pills. She will be perfectly rested. We'll probably have to give her an aspirin and a liter of water before the show so she doesn't miss anything important." "Sounds reasonable. Any doubts? It's not too late to cancel everything. You can just leave." She could have done the same thing, but she didn't, right? She couldn't leave it alone. She was supposed to humiliate me and make my life hell at home and at work. At least her humiliation would be private. No, I need to do this. Amy sighed heavily. "I should have asked. Damn, she's going to hate me. She's really sorry, you know. Trying to figure out how to make amends. Restore relationships. You don't have to do this. I can find someone else." "No way. I'm enough. She would not want someone else to witness her shame. I'll be the one to do it. Let's go to bed. You can show me what you're going to do. I'm sure a good night's sleep will give you time to recover." I was proud of myself. "Again? Or will we leave it for tomorrow?" she asked. "Let's leave it for tomorrow. It's not that I don't want to do it again, but I want to be in great shape in the morning." Coming. She got out of bed and cleaned herself up. We changed the sheets and snuggled into bed. "It's sad, isn't it? This is the end," she said quietly. "No, the end was when she slept with that bastard in front of me. This is simply finishing the remaining tasks. After that, we can both move on. I loved her and was ready to endure a lot, but she's gone too far, much too much." She pressed herself close to me. "I know, but it's still sad. You will no longer be my son-in-law. You will no longer be part of the family. What will happen to us? As much as we ourselves want it. When it's all over," I replied. To be continued. Subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so you don't miss the next part of this story. She will be there very soon. The link to the sequel will be in the description of this video below. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think. Click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next